What I'm about to share with you are thoughts that I've had come through my brain for the past month, but in all reality, they've been in and out of my head for the past 15 years or so. You can call them hot takes, but they're really just going to be takes. I think that they're genuinely true. I think that most people should follow these, and they will definitely help you become a better coach if you just apply or even try to become better at these topics. Number one, it is going to be the most important. It is if you are just reading off of the whiteboard, you are not coaching. If you don't know what I mean by this is a great thing. I believe that for every coach that watches this video, there will probably be a dozen or 20 people that watch this that are just members of CrossFit affiliates or have attended CrossFit classes. When you're a coach, or if you are a coach and you're just turning to the whiteboard and you give your back to the class and first of all, you probably can't even hear me because there's no microphone over there. You're simply telling people that you didn't do your homework. For example, the workout today for the HillerFit programming was a snatch plus a hang snatch. If I didn't know that and I had to turn my back to the TV screens to read that simple thing to you guys, it says a lot about how much education I put into the workout today. It's a massive slap into the face to your members who are paying $150, $200, $250, $300 a month to come and get you to turn your back to them for the first thing you're going to say to them on that day. What does it also say about the coach and the curated environment from the owner or the GM or whomever is putting that coach in that position that is allowing them to get away with the sheer fact that they haven't done the bare minimum effort, which is to know that you're starting off with snatching? What does it mean, the level of education you're going to get about while you're snatching? People are always hounding on coaches for not being cheerleaders. Like, don't just cheer people on. That's not what a coach is there for. But also, they're not there to read words to you. You are not a kindergartner. You can read. You have the technology. You have an app like Modify. The members can look at it and know what they're snatching. At the very minimum, you're losing them. At the very worst, you're losing their trust. Number two, blindly following any sort of workout program is going to be better than constantly questioning it. One of my favorite things to do to prove theories is to take it to the absolute extreme. If there was a person that believed that doing 50 push-ups first thing in the morning every day and then running a mile as hard as they can will get them in the best shape possible, they will certainly be in better shape than the person who contemplates whether or not they should be doing 10 sets of 5 sets of 10. Ooh, I did 5 sets of 10 yesterday. Maybe I should deload and I should do 3 sets of 8. And yes, this is a tweet and there's a comment in here from Brandon Brooks. He's got a gorilla as his profile icon. This assumes that you chose a competent system to follow. Yes, that's true. But it's not true in a vacuum. It's true on a spectrum. When the goal is fitness, and there's a lot of well-versed and very educated people out there putting out pretty good fitness programs, I kind of think keeping your head in the game and longevity is going to be the biggest lever that you can pull on it. And if you can keep yourself engaged and trust, and yes, like Brandon is saying, it is a good program and there are a lot of them out there, you're actually doing yourself a massive disservice by constantly questioning whether or not you should be doing push-ups in the morning. Just do the freaking push-ups. Number three, if your gym affiliate or your program is writing you levels, predetermined scales that you should be doing for your workouts, you're losing a giant attempt at building rapport. This more so applies to the in-gym session, but it also applies to the online environment. In the online environment, it's kind of like reading a blog. You can get to know the author, like reading a book, J.R. Tolkien, R.L. Stein, freaking Shel Silverstein. You become familiar with the writing, the programming, and yes, how you should probably be implementing those workouts for yourself via the online program. But as a rapport builder in an affiliate, if Tina at the 3:30 class can't quite do a toes to bar, there might be a specific reason why. And you don't just want to regulate her to doing a green or a level 3D, whatever the hell any of this stuff might mean. The coach at the 3:30 class, knowing Tina and knowing where she is and where she should want to be going, because maybe you've had these conversations with her, will keep Tina in it, and it's kind of building off point number two. Through building that rapport with Tina as the coach, you are now removing the why are we doing this. It's that you just trust that you have our best interest in mind, which is completely different than just saying, hey, go do green. Number four, your members should be able to coach an on-ramp class after about 3 years of being in your CrossFit gym. It means that you're actually coaching. It means that you're actually educating. And if you are living in Mexico for a period of time, you should probably have an ability to pick up on the language, maybe even tell people around you what the people at the local Walgreens or pharmacy are saying. You go to a restaurant, you order a bunch of food, and your buddy's visiting from the United States, you should be able to say, hey, yeah, this is probably what they're telling you you're going to be drinking. What is horchata? It's some amazing cinnamony rice milk. How does my air squat look? Well, you're not squatting below parallel. Oh, your knees are caving in. Those are all things that I've learned and I've heard and I've experienced the coaches telling everybody around us for the past 3 years, and you should have the basic level of knowledge to be able to tell somebody else that. You don't have to, and they don't need to be coaching on-ramp classes, but they should have the capability to do so. 5, if you can't do a movement without banded distractions or excessive stretching before doing said movements, you probably shouldn't be doing said movement. Best example for this would be snatching, squat snatching, anything overhead. And you know people throw those bands over the pull-up rigs and they're doing those giant lat stretches and they're smashing out their lats with freaking the little rollers, the ball, what is it, the lacrosse ball. They're making those big old faces and they're like stressing the crap out of themselves, and just the facial expressions you're making before you're doing the movement is telling your body that you probably are going to be putting it to freaking war. That by itself is a terrible thing. And basically what you're doing is you're opening your body up to get into a position that it really shouldn't be in. It's something that you haven't quite earned yet. And if squat snatching, all of that stuff is something that you want to do, you need to earn it. And it's something you probably needed to be doing specific sessions of certain things to be able to get into those positions where you're holding positions for minutes on time. And along with this stretching of certain tissues, maybe the lats that we talked about, and maybe the pec, which is something that gets really tight and hinders the overhead position. You probably also need to do some strengthening. Think the back, the traps, the lower traps. Maybe it's your core. Maybe it's your ankles. Who knows? Maybe it's your groin, hip flexors, the whole shebang. But those aren't things you just don't want to smash into oblivion and blunt and turn them off. There's a reason they're tight. They're protecting you from doing things that are stupid. Number 6, people try too hard when programming. Those who follow the programming are going to suffer. This is kind of the partner to number 2, because improvement comes from buy-in to the program and then simplicity through the program. In a perfect world where I told you on the HillerFit program today there was a snatch plus a hang snatch, it doesn't need to be so freaking insane that the coach needs to turn towards the whiteboard, explain to everybody the super nuances and the time intervals and the 3-position hang followed by the squat snatch followed by the overhead squat that everyone's going to forget. And all of a sudden people care more about how it was being created than the thing that you're doing in and of itself. It's better to just get the exposure of something simple like a snatch plus a hang squat snatch than it is to need to go through all the nuances about why 3-position snatches are what's being done today. And don't even get me started on like the EMOM Metcons. Every 5 minutes by 38 rounds you're doing 64 burpees followed by 20 toes to bar followed by GHD sit-ups, but it's only going to be to this level riser because last week we did this level riser. It's getting too complicated and nobody cares. 95% of the people just want to come into the gym and sweat, and then time over time they want to see themselves improving, whether it be decreased body fat, increased muscle mass. They just want to look better in the freaking mirror. They want to be getting stronger. They want to feel more capable. They don't care that the 3-position snatch is the greatest thing to grace planet Earth. They just care that it happens. Before we get to point number 7, Shirtless Andrew wants to ask you to subscribe to this channel. If you like this sort of stuff, I'll probably be putting this onto this channel, the HillerFit training channel. I kind of like this one to have 10,000 subscribers. I like having goals and reasons to do things. And on that note, number 7 is people don't bench press enough. They don't bench press enough in load and in frequency. And through doing that, they don't realize that their burpees will become easier once you bench press more often. This is in particular with females. I can't tell you the number of women that have become obsessed with the bench press once they realize what's happening as they've done a good amount of it. They've had a good amount of exposure to a good amount of load on the bench press. When a woman starts off with a 35-pound bar, they can barely even control the thing, and then they're doing sets of 10 at like 65 pounds, something crazy happens because they're realizing that they couldn't have any control out of their upper body pressing, then all of a sudden they're doing sets of 10 at something twice as heavy. They're becoming immensely capable in something that a lot of women on planet Earth aren't good at in particular. It was shocking to me when I was at my affiliate. It was something that we would basically do every single Friday. We would do a bench press and everybody looked forward to it. I had a cop friend at the time and she was trying to do some sort of a physical test for the police department, and she had to do a 1 rep at 75% of her body weight. It was crazy to me how much it was stressing her out because just about every single woman who was at like 15 to 20% body fat in my affiliate was able to do that no problem. It wouldn't stress them out for 1 second. All I could think is that my friend should have just been a member at my affiliate for the past 3 years. Would have been no skin off her back and she wouldn't have been stressed at that period in time. Now, 3 years later, the question is, what do I do? My answer is steroids. Or find Doc Brown and the DeLorean and try to go back in time 3 years and join my affiliate 3 years ago, and then all of a sudden you can do what you gotta do. Men like me, I know that you just like benching. Makes your muscle ups better. Number 8 is gonna be crazy because it goes against everything that CrossFit's all about, but 1 workout a day might be just what the doctor ordered, but it isn't what the people want. This smacked me in the face when I had a member named Michelle. Michelle was a member of my affiliate from the second I got there in 2014 all the way up until it had to have been 2017, 2018, and then I remember I went to an Orange Theory class around that time. I hadn't seen her in a little while. She had canceled her membership, and she was a member of that Orange Theory, and she was walking out of that thing dripping sweat. It was crazy. And Michelle came up to me and she goes, "Andrew, it's so good to see you, but I gotta tell you, I'm just so happy to be here. This is so great. And she couldn't stop telling me about how great Orange Theory was. I had like kind of like a flash before your eyes the entire time I've ever worked with Michelle, and I was just thinking, damn, she was telling me the entire time that this is all that she wanted. And she looked great. I've seen way too many people just get entirely outraged, upset, and think, how could you do this? Why would you say this to me? I've been giving you the greatest thing on earth. How dare you leave me for Orange Theory? But then it made me think about everybody else in general, and I kind of altered the programming a little bit, and what I found through altering the programming through that conversation with Michelle about Orange Theory is that everyone kind of really liked it. Maybe a little less complexity here, maybe a little longer sessions over there, maybe a little bit more high intensity over the course of those longer sessions, maybe a little less skill work. Everybody was still getting fitter and everyone was still getting stronger, but they were maybe sweating a little bit more. Definitely not to the extent of an Orange Theory, but I was very thankful that Michelle was telling me that stuff. And it's a phenomenon when I go into a lot of gyms who are programming conventional CrossFit.com stuff that I know that at least 60% of those members aren't going to be retained because also the coaches aren't coaching. And if the coaches aren't coaching and you're only doing a 5x5 back squat or you're building a 1-rep overhead squat and that's all you're doing on that day, you're going to probably lose a bunch of the soccer moms to Orange Theory. And on that note, number 9 is that warm-ups should be kind of mini workouts comprised of simple movements that are going to mimic the things that are being done later on in that day. So if you're doing a workout like Diane, 21-15-9 of deadlifts and handstand push-ups, you're probably going to want to be doing it on the rower. You're going to want to do some inchworms. Maybe you're going to kick up into a handstand hold. Maybe you're going to do some wall walks. Maybe you're going to do some push-ups. Why? Because you've got to warm up your hinging and you've got to warm up your upper body pressing. Maybe you want to invert yourself during the warm-up. Maybe you make it kind of fun. You say, hey, 3 rounds of 15 calories on the row, a 25-foot inchworm, and a wall walk. Or maybe a kick up into a handstand hold instead of the wall walk for those who are going to be doing handstand push-ups. The members really appreciate that, and at minimum, it's something where over the course of that rowing, you've got another 3 minutes in on the rower, something where people are breathing, you can talk to people, you can converse about the workout, you can build rapport again in your affiliate. And kind of like that banded distraction thing from earlier, if you need much more than that to be doing certain workouts, it's probably a question of maybe you need some personal training to get to the place you want to be in. Unless you've got the world's greatest coaches and you can do it freaking all with your class of 10 to 15 people there. Number 10, this is something that I would go to war with every single week it was seemingly. And it's because it's a weekly occurrence. If you are drinking alcohol, you have no ground to stand upon about the progress you are or are not making with your program at your affiliate. Usually it's an amount of progress that you are not having, a lack of progress. It's the, 168 hours in a week. If you are going to throw away 2 hours of those, it's going to seep in and eat away at the 166 that are remaining. If you're telling me that you want to look better naked and you want to get stronger and you want to have all of these amazing things that somebody else in the class is doing, that someone else in the class is seeing all of these rewards and they're not drinking, and you want to chalk it up to anything other than the fact that you want to be a degenerate for those 2 hours, make an excuse that it was a work function, okay, you can say that, but just realize that it is entirely on you. Alcohol has no place in a diet and is usually the biggest thing that is leading to people's lack of success in fitness, in other things too. Oh, it feels good when you're drunk? Oh, you can talk to people better? Ask yourself why that is and stop ruining the thing and stop trying to blame it on the coach. Stop trying to blame it on the program. It's your fault. Number 11, if you are in your first year of fitness, CrossFit, weightlifting, you name it, and maybe you're just going to a Globo gym, you do not need weightlifting shoes. I know they're cool, they're fancy, and they have to work because they're now approaching $300 and they've got cool carbon fiber bottoms on them. And maybe you see the strongest people in the gym and maybe a whole bunch of people that don't need them already wearing them, and you're thinking, hey, if they don't need them and it's making them do something better, or maybe they'll get better quicker than I am. No, they won't. Actually, in the long run, you're probably hindering your process, because if you've noticed, a lot of the people who get really, really, really good at CrossFit, they end up not really needing the weightlifting shoes for a lot of the movements. The people who have moved for the best don't need knee sleeves, they don't need wrist wraps, they don't need any of it. They just need to think about why, they need to be listening to their body and understanding why they can't do something, not just adding a band-aid, a lifting shoe, an elevated heel. If you can't keep your weight back, maybe you should be working on your tight hips within that first year. Maybe you should be working on your tight ankles. Maybe you should just be learning the patterning of the squat in general. Don't put a band-aid on it within the first year, maybe the first 2 or 3 years. And at that point, maybe you're specializing and you are a weightlifter. If you are a weightlifter, then maybe you need the helmet to protect yourself when you're on the football field, because it's part of the game. 12, some people are not mentally tough, they are simply mentally ill. Brandon Brooks, the gorilla, came back into the comment section and said, next thing you're going to tell us is to eat raw liver. Come on, guys, just trust everyone. Come on, guy. Some of the best people in the CrossFit space, you've actually heard that maybe if they weren't doing fitness in particular, they'd be doing hard drugs. Maybe they'd be addicted to gambling. Who knows what would be going on? Maybe they were former drug addicts. If you know your history, you know I'm referencing Froning and Fraser here. When you meet somebody who's actually mentally tough, it's kind of cool, but I see a lot of people praising David Goggins. Modern day David Goggins, I don't think any longer is mentally tough. I think that the dude is mentally ill. Because what's he training for? What's his goal? There was a point in time where he had a goal, and it was cool to see the things that he was doing to achieve the goal, and maybe this is an entire recantment upon his time achieving those goals. The book Can't Hurt Me was something that I read, and that was cool because it was him getting to the goals. A lot of people are putting themselves through the meat grinder, and they're portraying it like I'm just more mentally tough than you. Maybe they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And if you really see it and you really think about it, a lot of times you'll be able to figure it out for yourself much simpler and much more quickly than you can. So the same way that like an alcoholic won't know that they're addicted to alcohol. They'll blame everything else on everything else, but at the end of the day, it's just that they have a bottle of whiskey every single day. In the early 2000s, CrossFit was the shortcut to fitness as number 13, and now everybody is doing it. It's no longer a shortcut. Hyrox is doing it, World Fitness Project is doing it, F45 is doing it, the same thing that we mentioned, or Orange Theory is doing it. Really, the thing about shortcuts is that everybody ends up taking them because they work so well. Damn, is it unfortunate that CrossFit went through the turmoil that it did in like 18, 19, 20. Because in a way, they were the people who invented shoes. Maybe the laces in shoes. Because there was a point in time where there were no laces on shoes. And then somebody threaded those through shoes. And this is like, oh, this is a shortcut. I'm going to loop, swoop, and pull. I'm going to do the bunny ears, and bam, my shoes are on. Now every single pair of shoes on the planet has a pair of laces in them. That's what CrossFit did. They put laces into shoes, and then everyone's like, wow, this is great. Now every Lifetime Fitness you go to has an alpha class. They've got wall balls, people are doing power cleans and box jumps, and people found out the shortcut to fitness, the same way that at one point people found out the shortcut to putting shoes on quicker and the most efficiently. CrossFit had a stranglehold on it, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see whether or not they can get that stranglehold back. Number 14, if on that note you want to keep on talking about CrossFit and if things are or are not CrossFit, then if you have a predetermined outcome to whatever it is that you're doing, you're likely not doing CrossFit. Of course, people will push around on their opinions on this, and who am I to stake this claim about what is and what is not fitness or CrossFit, but I'm of the opinion that a lot of this stuff comes around the clock, and you're going to put a bunch of work in front of you, and you should not know what you are going to get at the end of the work compared to the clock, or maybe you're trying to get as much work within the clock. So I'm going to do 100 burpee box jump overs for time. I can probably in and around say that I'll go 14-ish reps a minute burpee box jumps. I'm going to do 100 for time. I know that like Patrick Vellner did something crazy like 6 minutes burpee box jump overs at one point, but at the end of the day, I really don't know. And if I contrast this with an EMOM where I said, hey, I'm going to do 8 burpee box jumps on minute 1, I'm going to do 16 toes to bar on minute 2, and then I'm going to do a 30-second handstand hold on minute 3, followed by minutes 4 and 5. I'm going to rest. I'm going to do this for 30 minutes. While you're doing CrossFit movements, you know that over the course of this, you've got 40 burpee box jump overs, you've got what would end up being 80 toes to bar, and then you've got what's going to be 2.5 minutes upside down in the handstand hold over the course of that time. That can't be CrossFit because you know the work that's being done. You can't do more, you can't do less. There's no intensity to it, and there's no fear behind the workout. And yeah, it can make you fitter, and you can get fitter doing the volume over the amount of time and accumulating those reps, but the result comes from the intensity of the unknown. Also more fun to do it the way where you don't know what's going to happen, and you can kind of get that gear, that little switch in your head from having done CrossFit over a period of time. You become a better person in everyday life from dealing with that unknown facet within your training. And number 15, which I just put on Instagram, is can you do 50 unbroken push-ups? I presented the question right up against can you do or what is harder to do, this or a 5-minute Fran, under 5-minute Fran. It's an interesting question to ask CrossFitters because I would bet that a lot of people can do the sub 5-minute Fran at this point, but can't do 50 unbroken push-ups. But if you were to ask 8 billion people on the planet which one they can do, they wouldn't even know what Fran was first of all, but they'd say, oh, I could probably do that before I could do that. And when you want to look at this entire thing that I've put forth for you guys to listen and talk to or to contemplate, how really good is your programming if you can't do something as simple as 50 push-ups, but you can kip your way through a bunch of pull-ups and use your entire body to propel a 95, 65-pound barbell? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Shouldn't you be better than most people at everything at any given point in time if the thing that you are doing is supposed to elevate your level of fitness compared to the general human? You're supposed to be more capable than everybody. So why is it that the general person can do one thing quicker than the thing that you're certain you can do? Think about that one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Andrew Hiller, out.